I will find you. You will ask, what will you do when they find me? Don't be scared of yourself.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ashley.
We would like to welcome you to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
We're two friends sit around and talk about healing, growth, and healthy relationships.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Dawn. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome to 2024.
Yay, 2024.
Very excited. It's been
Happy
a few
New
weeks.
Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, listeners. Yeah, it's been, I call this the year of dawn. This is the year of dawn.
Nice. This is going to be all about you, huh?
It is. This is what it's going to be about this year.
That's exciting. I'm excited for this year. I'm excited to see what this year will bring. I'm going to focus on me.
I mean, the thing is, it's like I could be honest and say, well, I've always focused on me, and I have indirectly through other people. But this year I want to intentionally focus on me.
I don't know that, right? For me, I didn't focus on me through other people. I focused on, I mean, I did, but it was subconsciously. It wasn't like,
yeah, that's
right?
what,
It was
exactly.
codependent.
Yeah.
Right. My whole life was about trying to fix other people and change other people and find broken people that needed fixing and try to make them better. And this year, and that was just a fear-based control, right? That keep myself safe by making everyone else around me safe. And the difference with this year, and I think what you were saying too, is I'm not going to worry about other people. Their thoughts, feelings, and opinions are none of my business. As long as I am being the person I want to be in each and every moment, kind, compassionate, caring, loving, empathic, those are the qualities and traits that are important to me. And as long as I am being those things, then I'm doing what I need to. I'm focusing on me. That's my goal for this year.
Right. You know, one of the things through my codependency has been mismanaging my money. Right. Not thinking about retirement. I technically, if we look at the age, retirement's what, 65 or 67 now? Either way, 12 to 14 years from now, I should be retiring. Can I retire in 12 to 14 years? No. There's no way right now. I'm going to be working another 20 years. So I want to be more mindful of my finances. I want to be able to take care of myself down the road. And so that's part of this year is right. I'm not going to solve the problem this year and all of a sudden have all this money to retire on, but I want to make life changes to be able to work towards that in over the next 12 to 14 years. I want to, I'm pretty healthy, but one of the things I want to do, I've talked about having knee surgeries, knee replacements, right? I need to be healthier. I need to take off a little bit of weight so the pound pressure is in my knees is better for healing. It's continuing to work my program and gain more knowledge and understand myself better and identify my boundaries, my wants, my likes, my dislikes, my wants, my things I don't want. And so it's very much just the year of dawn, working on me to be able to be a better me for me.
That's it.
And normally it would have been, I want to be a better me for somebody else.
Right. I want to be better for my kids, or I want to be better for my significant other,
Yep.
or for my parents, or, right. I want to be better for me. I want to be a better me tomorrow than I am today. I want to be a better me today than I was yesterday. I'm not in competition with anyone except for myself.
Right.
And I'm proud of myself, even if I'm not better tomorrow than I was today.
Yeah. I want to do better at work. I want to, before I've kind of coasted along and, I've been good at my, job, but, right, I want to be more intentional with my job because it's like realizing, okay, I've always said I'm good at the level I'm at, whatever, but I'm not good at the level I'm at because I need to make more money. So how do I go about making more money? I need to step my job up, what I do, being more intentional. I need to look for outside ways to supplement my income. It's those kinds of things that I need to evaluate. So Wednesday was my birthday, and I got the sweetest gift from someone. And I had told her a while back, we were talking about 2024, and I said, yeah, 2024 is I want it to be the year of dawn. And I've shared some things with her. And she sent me for my birthday this beautiful book, and it's actually a calendar. And you know who Dave Ramsey is, right?
I absolutely do.
Okay. So this book was by his, I don't want to say a foundation, but his like little business now that he has, right? He has the Ramsey something something. And so it's a calendar, and it gives you, it helps you work through your financial recovery. So from a mental standpoint. So what are your goals, right? What are your goals? What are some of the things that your kind of thoughts around finances? Where did you get them? And those kinds of things. And so I was really interested. And then on the front of the book, she puts the year of dawn. And so the book comes, it's 2024, and it says the year of dawn.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's the most thoughtful gift. And it's beautiful, and it's just really a very cute thing. And, like has goals, and like I said, just comes from more of a mental place than of, oh, okay, do your cardectomy and get rid of this credit card and get rid of that credit card. There's just more
right.
thought.
It's not about the actual physical financial aspect. It's more about the mental financial aspect.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at this year. That's what I want to do. I want to, obviously keep doing this podcast because I missed doing it the last couple of weeks.
I did too. We took 2 weeks off.
Yep.
And it was, I needed the 2 weeks off. My daughter had the baby. So I'm a grandma. I love it. It's amazing.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. She's so perfect. She's the sweetest, chillest little baby. She's absolutely gorgeous. And Destiny and Caleb are amazing parents. I am so proud of both of them, and I cannot wait to watch them raise her. I can't wait to be a part of that. So it was a much needed time off. I was also off of work, and my dad came and my brother came, and it was really nice. We had a lot of family around. It was very, very pleasant and relaxing, and there were some eye-opening aspects as well. It was really nice.
Good.
Honestly, this was probably one of the best Christmases that I have had in a few years. Several years, actually. And it wasn't who was around, because my dad comes every year and my brother comes and visits all the time, and I'm pretty close to them, So it wasn't that there were extra people or special people, or I think it was that I was really focused on just being peaceful and being okay with everything being how it was, thanks to my recovery.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to really appreciate the little things, right? I was at the hospital with my daughter every day they were there. I was there when Amelia was born. I got to hear the very first cries. I was able to record the first 2 minutes of her life. It was absolutely spectacular. And then Christmas was amazing, and my son got to come home and visit for the first time in 6 months, and we just had a really, really good time.
That sounds amazing. Sounds like it was an amazing time. I spent 2 weeks with the boys, so that was it's always a good time. I was ready to come home. I was hurting a little bit. Knees were bothering me because the cold. It was a little different. Texas cold's a little different than Florida cold. So,
Oh, yes.
and I didn't think about that. I knew it would be cold. I mean, and it wasn't like, right, the whole country was like at 50 degrees, I think. But you know, you have arthritis. It gets to a certain point. It's like, ugh.
It can get very painful, especially if you're not used to, like, right, that the pressure changes
Yeah.
and the air changes. It definitely affects our bones.
Yeah. So I came back, I've got cracks in my fingers, my skin it's just a mess. But at the same time, I had a great time with my kids, and it was nice to step away. I mean, I still had to do Codathon, that was still there, but as far as meeting with sponsees and meetings and doing this, yeah, I took a much needed break. But I did really miss doing this with you. I actually found myself over the last 4 days listening to the podcast more and more and more, because I'm
Yeah, it's so crazy.
I just needed that connection that I get from this.
Yes, and I know I texted you like a couple of times last week, like, "Hey, when are we
Yeah,
recording?"
I'm like, no, not good. And
I definitely missed it. It is. I love our conversations. I love that we talk, and we talk for usually about an hour before we start recording as well. So I just really enjoy it, and I definitely missed it for sure.
Yeah, me too. So how about we get back into this? So we got a question actually to the website, and so I thought about I think a lot of these questions, that's how we're going to answer them, is through the podcast. So I'll read the question, and then we can have a conversation about it.
Yeah, let's do that.
So I'm going to paraphrase here the beginning part of it. This individual is asking for more information to help them build a healthy relationship with self, higher power, and other people.
Okay. So I know we did a podcast a few weeks ago on how to build a better relationship with ourselves. I want to just go ahead and mention that podcast because I really think that is the absolute first step to building a better relationship with our higher power and other people, is that we first have to have a relationship with ourselves. Maybe the relationship with the higher power comes first. I don't know. What do you think?
I kind of think they come hand in hand in a way, because I feel like as I was developing this relationship with my higher power, I learned more about myself. And the more I learned about myself, the more I was willing to invest in my higher power. And then it was like this kind of this back and forth between me and my higher power, and definitely taking out other people, because they weren't part of that. You weren't part of that.
Correct.
It was just this. I think it happens kind of simultaneously, where it's to know a higher power, we need to be connected to ourselves. To know ourselves, we have to be connected to our higher power. And so as we build along, it's like the building blocks, right? Every building block I put on, I get to know myself and my higher power better.
Yes, I think I agree with that. I definitely agree with other people have to come last. I cannot focus on my relationship with other people until I have my relationship with myself and my higher power completely and totally healed.
So are you saying that you have to disconnect from everybody and not be around anyone?
No, I'm not saying I have to disconnect or not be around. Now, yes, I am saying you have to disconnect. No, I am not saying you have to not be around them. What I mean by disconnect. So for me, I was so focused on other people and so entangled in making other people behave the way I needed them to behave so that I could be safe, that I could not focus on me or my higher power. So in my opinion, I had to emotionally disconnect from other people for a period of time so that I could focus on myself and my higher power. Now, that didn't mean I wasn't around other people, right? I have 3 kids. They lived with me. I have a sister who I talk to. I have a brother that I talk to, my parents, all of that. So I did not be around other people. I was around other people all the time. But I didn't entangle my emotions with theirs. I didn't talk about high intensity emotional things for, gosh, it was several months while I rebuilt my understanding of my higher power and myself.
Yeah, I remember at the beginning of my recovery that was one of the things, and I know I've shared on this on here before, was, right, I had to step away from my mom for weeks because I needed, what I found with her was she was always in my head. Like, she was like, when I talked to her, she was, and I'm not criticizing her here. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying this is what, for me, how it affected me was I felt like there was always this criticism and this negativity and this da-da-da-da-da.
Well, and sorry to interrupt, but I just want to make a point. You said she was always in your head. Mm-hmm. She wasn't actually in your head. Who was in your head?
I was in my head.
That's
about
right.
her.
Right. So it wasn't her doing it.
No.
It was you putting her in your head. But because it was her that you had in your head, you had to disconnect from her in order to get that out of your head.
Right. So I went basically cold turkey with her for weeks on end. And by doing that, it did allow me to kind of decompress and to be able to, like, right, my mother is my first codependent relationship. Right?
Aren't they all?
This woman taught me to be a very good codependent. I developed being a codependent because of, right, her putting her emotional issues and needs on me. So and it's always been that way. What used to be that way. And by doing that disconnect, I realized that I could be my own person outside of my mother. And I didn't know that before. Because I love her, but she is also a codependent who needed me to fill something that was missing in her.
You know, it's so crazy that you say that because, and we're going to go off topic like we always do. We'll come back to it.
Yay.
But in society, when we think about moms having kids, I take myself back to having my first child. I think about my first grandchild. I think about what you have said about when Dylan was born. And the big common theme that I hear people say is, I just needed someone to love me unconditionally.
Yeah.
Or I felt that love that my child had for me. Or I needed this from my child. So many children are born into this world simply because their parents need something. That in and of itself is codependent. That's our society. That is our normal. For a mom to be like, I just needed that unconditional love from my child. My child saved my life. I would die for my child. That's normal for us. Like, we think that makes a good parent. And it's not. That's so codependent. These poor human beings are being born into this world with responsibilities to adults.
Yeah, because you're right. I thought the same, and I know we've talked about it, but like I felt the same thing with Dylan. And even on the podcast with my mom that I did 6 months ago, wherever it was, that was a big thing she said. It was like, I thought when she's like, when you were born, I thought, now I have someone that's going to love me. Now I have someone that's all mine.
Yep. That's what I thought when my daughter was born.
Oh, me too.
That's Like, I finally have these little people who will love me forever. It's just that thought process. And it's not... It's not that it's wrong that we want to love our children forever. It's not that at all. It's that having that frame of mind and having that mindset puts this responsibility on our children that they can perceive in a codependent way. They take in and they become codependent themselves.
Right. I look at Dylan. Dylan is very much a codependent, and throughout his life, right, the loving him, wanting him, now I have something to love, something that's going to love me unconditionally, right? He's mine. Raising him, I raised him as he was mine, with his dad, with his stepdad, with
School,
friends,
future.
Oh, Future.
I did it too.
Oh, Future. We both were. Oh, anyways.
Poor Destiny. She was going to be a child psychologist her whole entire life because that's what her mama wanted her to be.
Yep. Dylan was always going to be a doctor. I mean, granted, he's getting his PhD, so yes, he's going to be a doctor. But to me, it was like, oh, he said, like, and I've said this with you, like, there was one time he said he wanted to be a pediatrician. All I needed to hear, now he was going to be a doctor. So it went, what kind of doctor do you want to be today? What kind of doctor do you want to be today? It's his life. He gets to do it with what he wants. But I didn't look at it. I wasn't doing it to harm him. I just wanted him to have more than I had.
And that alone is why we need to take other people out of the equivalency, out of the conversation, until we heal our relationship with ourself and our higher power. Because if my relationship with myself and my higher power was healed, my children would not have been born into this world with the responsibility of making me feel loved.
Right. I felt less than. Right. I felt less than when I had Dylan. All I was doing, what I was doing when I had Dylan was I was working in a hospital I was 21 years old. I was working in my first office job. I was making $24,000 a year, if that. And I looked at my life as a dead end. I was married, and I didn't want that for him. Right? I wasn't happy in who I was. I wasn't happy with my life. So I actually raised Dylan to think that you couldn't get engaged and married until you were 30.
Wow.
And he actually, because I made him and developed him into such a great codependent, he actually said that to me a couple of years ago. Well, in 2 years, Mom, I'll be able to get married.
Wow.
My kids have always known that college is not a choice. Got to go to college. Right? A master's degree is your new bachelor's. Got to go to college. I'm lucky. My kids, Dylan wanted to go to college. He loves education. I think if possible, he would be a lifetime student if he could just get paid for it.
There's definitely people like that. I love to learn. If you could pay me to learn, I would go learn new things every single day.
I would do that now. I never thought I would say that, but I would do that now. It's just fun. Colin, it's pulling teeth. It's pulling teeth with him. But he also knows he has to do it because, right, even though I have said you got to go to college, you got to get your education, he also knows from now societal, your bachelor's degree is basically your new high school diploma. So he does it, but he doesn't love it. But I'm also different with him. Like, we've talked about the whole grade things. Like, I was all over Dylan's grades. If a teacher did not get a grade in within a week's worth of time and my son's grade looked worse than it did, it wasn't Dylan. I wouldn't go to Dylan and say, hey, you need to talk to your teacher. I need to see your grades. What is it? Oh, no, I'd be on the phone. I'd be bitching and moaning and yelling and screaming and you need to do your job and you're just, right, of course I would make them less than for not doing their job. this is your responsibility and blah, 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 blah. Who knows what they had going on in their lives, their personal lives, that is the reason they couldn't put the grades in on time. And with Colin, I don't think I ever once looked at his grades through high school. Not once. Like, he would get his report card and I'd be like, so how are your grades? Good. Okay.
So, yeah, I was the same way. I mean, I know her grades, but Cam's a lot. I'm a lot less intent on her.
Yeah.
So what is the best way? We have the entire podcast about building a relationship with ourselves. Once we build that relationship with ourselves and we build the relationship with our higher power, I think the really important thing there is intentionally communicating. When things are good, when things are bad, just checking in. For me, that was a huge aspect of building a relationship with myself and my higher power, was just checking in with myself and checking in with my higher power. How am I today? I feel this way. I'm having these thoughts. Thank you for supporting me. It's been a great day. Like, just the same way that I would check in with my brother or my kids or my parents. I want to check in with my higher power. I want to check in with myself.
I know we've talked about this, but one of the things I do every night when I go to bed is it's because, like, the day gets busy. I might forget, right? If I'm going to do that at noon or whatever, and the day gets busy and something might happen, I might not get to it. But I do go to bed every night. Every night I get in bed, and so for me, that's when I check in with my higher power. I check in with myself. How did the day go? What were the interactions I had today? Which ones could I have done differently? Which ones were really successful, and I want to remember and learn from them so I can take it forward. It doesn't take me 2 hours to do that. I can get that.
Probably 10 minutes.
Exactly. I can do that. Yeah. 10, 15 minutes. I'm done. Sometimes not even that, depending on what I'm doing. I look at not even just the interactions with other people, the way I felt. Did I, while I'm working, did I find myself not taking care of myself? Not, should I have drank more water? Should I have stood up and walked around a little bit more? Should I have, right? Was I a little short to someone?
I do that.
Yeah.
I do that every day, multiple times. So for me, I'm terrible at bedtime. I will stay up until I can barely keep my eyes open, and then I'll crawl in bed and pass out. So I do it anytime I'm alone in the car. That is my thing. I drive to work every day. I drive home from work every day. I go grab lunch, or on the weekends I run to the grocery store, or I go whatever. Anytime I am alone in the car, I at least 5 to 10 minutes turn off the music and have a conversation out loud. I do out loud with myself, with my higher power. A lot of times I'll speak out loud and then I'll get an answer in my head and then I'll speak out loud. So it's like an actual conversation. And then a lot of times too, when I'm in the shower or when I get out of the shower and I'm getting ready for my day, I'm looking in the mirror, I'm talking to myself then. For me, it is out loud conversations. And as I do this more, I've started doing it at work. I was walking into the break room talking to myself the other day, and one of my coworkers was in the break room, and they turned around and they're like, "Are you talking out loud to yourself? That's a symptom of being insane, right?" I'm like, "Nah, that's just healthiness."
Yeah, that's funny. I do that too. So I live across the street from work. Like, I don't drive anywhere. Like, I maybe go 4 miles a day. So car doesn't work for me. And I think that's the thing. It's part of this is finding what works for you in your life that you can be consistent with. Somebody, maybe and I think this what it comes down to evaluating is looking at my day as a whole once I was in recovery, and it's like, okay, when does it work best for me? Right? You can say in the car because that works for you. You have time in the car by yourself. I don't. So, okay, when in my day can I make this work? Well, okay, every night before I go to bed, I always, or like when I get in bed, I always lay there and toss and turn for a little bit. Well, maybe I should use that time. Oh, I always scroll on my phone right before I go to bed. Well, maybe that's a good time for me to pick up one of my books, my recovery books, and read before I go to bed. Because, right, one of the things they say about dreams is dreams are a lot of times related to what you did or read or saw or watched right before going to bed.
Right. And I think consistency is the key word there.
100%.
It doesn't change overnight. I have to be intentional about this for a very long time, several weeks. Like, I can't just build a relationship with myself overnight. It doesn't work that way. We are literally building relationships with ourself and our higher power. You can't just talk to God one time, or talk to myself one time, or talk to the tree one time, and now you know it. It doesn't work that way. We have to build that relationship. And consistency is the only way to do that. Intentional consistency.
Let me ask you a question. So does that consistency look different now than it did 2 years ago?
Oh, very.
Why does it look different? How does it look different?
Well, so how I started to build the relationship both with myself and my higher power, it at the very beginning, it was things like I told myself 5 affirmations a day. And then I told myself 5 things I was grateful for a day. That was building a relationship with myself was my 5 affirmations. And then building the relationship with my higher power was the 5 things I was grateful for. And I had to search for things. I had to actually find things that I thought were good. It would be something like, your eyes are really pretty blue. Oh, wow, I really like my eyes, and I love the color of my hair. Things that I have no control over, that I can't change, seemed at the beginning to be the only things that I could find. Or, you're a really good mom. Or, you didn't yell at all today. Good job. Little things. And it was difficult. Now, almost 3 years later, it's very different. I guess it's almost like dating, right? We've all done that at first. At the beginning, when you're going on your first date, it's anxiety ridden, and you have to be intentional, and you have to impress, and it really takes effort. You have to put in effort. But then as you get to know someone and you build that relationship and you start talking all the time, it doesn't take so much effort. It just becomes natural. And you start talking about deeper things and sharing more intense connection. That's how it is now, 3 years later.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, I recognize my emotions. I recognize my feelings. I talk to myself about those things before I'm so deep in it that I can't swim.
I actually, in a way, disagree with you a little bit, because I'm here thinking when you said a relation, like dating, and right, there's effort in the beginning, and then over time it becomes into this natural thing, and then there's not, the need for effort kind of goes away. I don't agree with that. I think one of the things that we should always be doing in a relationship with people, especially people that are close to us. In other words, maybe not, I say we can go to the Walmart and have a relationship with the cashier for 2 minutes, and right, it's an interaction. But my partner,
putting in effort, yes.
my children, myself, right? I always have to put effort into that to be the best me.
And I agree with that 100%. I think maybe putting effort in is not really the right way to say it, but at the beginning when you're building that relationship, it takes work. It takes intentional choice to build the relationship. It's a little bit awkward at the beginning. It's a little bit uncomfortable sometimes. But then as you get to know yourself better, as you get to know the other person better, as you get to know your higher power better, it becomes more comfortable, right? You still have to put in the effort to maintain the relationship, because any relationship that's not maintained is simply going to fall apart. Anything not maintained is going to eventually fall apart.
Right. So I think that's part of this whole process too, is effort. Right? We can't get lazy. We can't get nonchalant about our recovery, about our relationship with ourselves, a relationship with our higher power. Right? We talked about taking a couple of weeks off this week, or the last couple of weeks, right? We took a couple of weeks off the podcast. I took a couple of weeks off from my sponsee meetings. I took a couple of weeks off from actually going to my weekly. I took 1 week off from my Thursday night meeting, but that doesn't mean I did nothing CODA related, right? Or recovery related.
Right. I think that that's a huge thing in building our relationship with not just ourselves and our higher power, but also other people, because we haven't talked a lot about that yet, is the effort, right? It's the intentional contact. It's the intentional communication. It's the intentional intimacy, connection. How are you? How do you feel? Do you need anything? This is, right? Here's what's going on with me. It's intentional connection, and communication is required in order to maintain good, healthy relationships.
You said one thing you said, and I think it's really important, is you asking the other person what they need. What if the person tells you, I just need space?
Then you give them space.
Right? If you're going to ask them what they need, you have to be able to allow them what they need.
So if I'm building a relationship with someone, another person, and my goal in this relationship is to love them, right? That's, if we're getting into a relationship and we are not being selfish or self-centered, then the point in getting into the relationship is to love them, not for them to love me. Yes, I want to be loved, and yes, I deserve to be loved. But if I'm getting into a relationship to be loved, then I'm manipulating. I'm being selfish and self-centered. I'm trying to get something out of it. If I'm getting into a relationship simply to love, then if I want to love someone and what they need to be loved, to feel loved, to be okay is distance, then that's what I need to give them if I am giving them my love.
What about in the middle of an argument? When they're, right, we're having this conversation, it's heated, and we're arguing, and then they say they need to step away and collect their thoughts, and they need a break.
Well, let's look at that from the other perspective, right? What if someone is fighting with you and arguing with you, and you are so overwhelmed that you can't possibly take anymore, and all you need is 10 minutes to collect yourself? Would it be fair for them not to give it to you?
Exactly.
The hardest part of building relationships with other people is that what I need to do in order to build a relationship with another person is to give them love.
And the only way I can give love is by loving myself. And I know, right, we have talked very little about and others. The thing that I have with this is the only way I can have healthy relationships with others is through me and my higher power. And if I'm healthy, and that has to be the focus, not the and others. Because what I've found is finding the best me, finding a relationship with myself, has just automatically made me have better relationships with others.
Yes. Because if I'm focused on others, same conversation we were having before, like just 2 minutes ago. If I'm focused on the others and I don't have a healthy relationship with me, then what if the other person needs that break and isn't going to come back? I don't have a healthy relationship with me, so I'm not going to be okay if they're not going to come back. So I'm not going to let them have that break that they need. If I have a fear of abandonment and somebody needs to leave, I'm not going to be okay with them leaving. If I'm a love addict and somebody needs to leave, I'm not going to be okay with them leaving, right? Like there's so many ways that if I am not healthy in my relationship with myself and my higher power, I won't possibly be able to be healthy with other people. If I'm judgmental of myself, I'm going to be judgmental of other people. Yep. Like, there's so many people who say, I hear people say all the time, and I used to say all the time, I'm so mean. I get so mean. When I get angry, when I get hurt, when I get fearful, I get mean. I say things that are just not very nice. Not that I'm calling names or anything like that. I'm just abrasive. I'm harsh. And what I have learned over the last 3 years is I was that way with others because that's how I was with me. As soon as I stopped calling myself stupid for bumping into a wall, I stopped judging other people for being clumsy. As soon as I stopped beating myself up for making mistakes, I stopped wondering where that person's head was when they fell. Everything that we do to others, everything that others do to us that bothers us, is something we do to ourselves. That's what I've found. So
one of the things this week, and I mentioned earlier, so birthday being Wednesday, and my birthday was this past Wednesday. I got an amazing gift, but I got amazing gifts. So I have always been, oh, it's my birthday, like, right? I just would kind of push my birthday away. It was because it wasn't important, because that meant things were focused on me, and right, I didn't want things to be focused on me, because then people might, see something I didn't want them to see.
Or else maybe if things were focused on you, then you could be disappointed by things not working out.
Exactly. So this year I did not have any expectations, but I knew it was my birthday, and I was excited about excited for me about my birthday, but I didn't have any expectations. And there, a couple of weeks before I left for Texas, my girlfriends were like, everybody was like, we're gonna get together on your birthday, we're gonna have. And the one lady was like, I'm gonna have a party at my house. They just bought a house, and she's like, we're gonna have the party, and we're gonna celebrate your birthday then. And I was like, okay, great. It was last night. It wasn't on my birthday. But then they were like, but we want to get together on your birthday. And I'm like, well, no, we're getting, it's okay. We're getting together, on a couple days later. It's not that big a deal. No, it's your birthday. You deserve to be celebrated on your birthday. And I'm like, okay. So 2 weeks went by. It was a couple days before my birthday. I had gotten back into Florida, and I hadn't heard anything from them. And there is that kind of like, okay, well, we're not gonna get together, and there was this little bit of disappointment. I'm not gonna lie, there was this moment of disappointment, and I let myself go into some codependent thinking, right? Like, oh well, it's just, I got excited, and now it's not gonna happen, and I was let down, and
that always happens every year. That's why I never want to do anything for my birthday. Nobody can ever be here. I've been there.
Yep. I get a text the day before my birthday. So are we doing dinner tomorrow night? And I was like, or do you want to just do a couple of drinks for your birthday? And I was like, well, it's like, it's okay, whatever. We don't have to do anything, because I was still in my little And they were like, no, it's your birthday. And I was tired. The other person was tired, whatever. So we ended up just doing a couple of drinks. They asked me where I wanted to go, and I was like, I didn't want to pick. I didn't care. And I was like, you pick. I don't want to pick. And finally we picked a place. But then one of the other people that were supposed to come, she was going to be really late, and of course I went to, well, it's okay, we're all tired, we're all this, and we don't have to do it. And they're like, no, it's your birthday. We want to celebrate you. We want to see you on your birthday. And then I was pulled out of my codependent brain to be like, I don't have to have those old thoughts. They want to spend time with me. Why do I have I said, and I didn't say it 20 million times. I said it like twice, but I still said it. And why can't I just celebrate? And so I did. And so we ended up going for drinks and appetizers, had a wonderful time. They brought me, like a couple of them brought me some little presents, and then called that a night. And then last night we got together and there was probably 20 people at this house party. And it was all about my birthday. And another guy was there. It was his birthday yesterday. And so my friend got me a cake, and she, then, got more little presents, and
Aww.
it was really cute, and it was beautiful. And the guy, he very much thought it was like the guy and his wife thought they were celebrating his birthday.
Oh, that's so sweet.
It was really cute. And so then she pulled out the cake, and his wife, I heard her like, "Oh, look, you got a cake." And and so I went up to my friend, and I like, right, you know what? I don't need a birthday cake. I have been so blessed this year, like with just the things we've done and being here. If he wants to do the cake, let him do the cake. To me, it didn't matter. That was like the least of the things. And she's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm positive." And I was 100% okay with it. I wasn't doing it because of trying to,
Well, you guys could have shared the cake.
Well, so once I stepped away, and then he goes up there, and I had never met this guy before. Last night was the first time I met him. And we get up there, and he gets up there, and he's like, "Come on, it's your birthday too." And so
That's so sweet.
So I went up, and we sang happy birthday to each other. It was really cute because we sang happy birthday to each other looking at each other.
Oh, that sounds like so much fun.
And then we blew out the candles together.
Aw, that's awesome. That sounds like such a good time.
It was a good time. But I guess the thing is when I'm telling this story, it's like, I deserve to be celebrated. My birthday is mine. And I deserve to celebrate it. That is what I've realized in recovery. I deserve to be celebrated. Doesn't have to be on my birthday. It can be any day of the week. It can be a Tuesday afternoon at 4. I don't need other people to celebrate me. I need to celebrate myself. And when I celebrate myself, other people will celebrate me.
Yes.
Because if I don't show that I'm worth being celebrated, everybody's going to kind of go along with the flow.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it really is what I've learned in every relationship across the board. And in the last year, my mind has just been so blown because my life is so very different because of the changes that I have made. And really, they were changes that I made within me about how I treated myself and how I treated my higher power. And everything else just fell into place. Like, when I first started recovery, I used to hear people say that. Like, the miracles are more miraculous than you could ever even imagine before recovery. And I always thought, yeah, right, that ain't going to happen to me. I ain't had that kind of luck my whole damn life. And now here I sit. And it's weird because it's not that there's no chaos. It's not that there's no bad or negative. It's that there's so much more peace and so much more positive that the bad and negative aren't that bad. Right? It's like a line graph that just keeps going up. So there's still dips, but the dips aren't as low because the highs are so much higher.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how it works. It's mind-blowing how simply being the best me I can be every moment of every day and making myself pleased and happy with myself like vibrates off of me and affects every other part of my life.
I think one of the things as you were speaking, about relationships and like, right, the choices you have made this year to focus on you and change things within you, that is the way of having better relationships with others. And let me elaborate on that. You changed things about you, not like in a bad way, right? I'm going to be the best me. Ashley chose to be the best Ashley that Ashley can be.
And it wasn't things that other people didn't like about me. It was things that I wanted to change about myself because I didn't want to do them.
But if that was your thought process, right? And people, it didn't matter what anybody else thought. These were things you wanted to change for you, and somebody else didn't like it. They could leave your life.
Hello? Nick left. It's been 17 years. That entire relationship ended this year because I changed things I wanted to change about me. And look, don't get me wrong. There were so many aspects that played into that relationship coming to an end. But I realized what I needed and what I wanted, and I started to go for it. And he wasn't interested in going for it. So he realized what he wanted and what he needed, and he went for it. And in that process, we just went two different ways. That's okay. It's gonna happen. When I start doing what I need to for me, the things that are not meant for me are going to leave my life.
Or they might stay. Right? It's their choice. They get to do what they want to do. And I think it's understanding that I'm just going to use your situation, right? You made changes. Nick decided that he wanted to do something else. That doesn't make him a bad person or you a bad person or anything like that. It just means at this moment in time, you are not meant to be.
Right. When I start doing what I need to do for me, the things that are made for me and meant for me will stay, will enter. The things that are not meant for me or made for me will not. They will leave. And that's just how it is. And again, that's not to say anything negative. That's not to say anything bad. Nick is an amazing man. He is an amazing human being. I was with him for 17 years because he is an amazing human being. He's just not my human being.
I evaluate now. I've heard people say, like, relationships should not be considered permanent. And I actually am coming to the place of agreeing with that, because that means, like, I'm changing. I am ever changing. I want growth in my life.
There is literally only one relationship that is permanent. Well, I mean, two if you consider them different. See, I consider them the same.
Yeah.
My higher power is within me. I am within my higher power. My relationship with myself is the same as my relationship with my higher power. Maybe that's why I had such a hard time answering which one came first earlier in the podcast. Because it is simultaneous, because my higher power is within me and I am within my higher power. Wow, that just hit me. That's why that's it. What was I saying? Wow, that just blew my mind.
No, that's good.
So I don't remember what I was saying before that, but yeah. So if I am good within me, then I am good with my relationship with my higher power. Then other things in my life are also going to be good.
And good might not look, because again, this is your higher power is part of you, right? What your higher power thinks might be good for you might not be what you think is good for, you think is good for you, but you have to trust.
6 months ago, I did not think that Nick and I's relationship ending was what I wanted.
Right.
I did not think that was going to be good for me. If you'd asked me a year ago if that's what I wanted, I'd have said absolutely not. That'll never be good for me.
I did ask you that.
Right. And I said, no, I want him. I want him in my life. I want this to work.
Yep.
Right. And I mean, it changes, it evolves. That's what I was saying. Literally the only permanent relationship is the relationship with my higher power and myself. And maybe you can call that 2 relationships. Maybe you could call that 1. But if you think about it, everyone dies. Everyone dies. There is not a single person in this world who is going to be born with me and die with me.
Right.
They will die before me. They will die after me. They will be born after me. They will be born before me. The only permanent relationship I have is the one with myself and higher power. Therefore, that has to be the most important. It has to.
Mm-hmm. And you still have to work at it. You still have to put effort into it.
I used to hear people say that. I used to go sit in church or Catholic school and hear people say that. And I used to think, no, I need to put other people first because other people's feelings matter and I need to consider their feelings. And yes, other people's feelings matter. And yes, I should consider other people's feelings, but I'm considering other people's feelings because I want to be considerate. And I'm considering my own feelings first and foremost, and then considering someone else's feelings. If that means I don't have dinner with you when you need me to have dinner with you because I'm not okay having dinner with you, and that hurts your feelings, I'm not going to abandon myself to make you feel better.
Right, and just because I don't want to have or can't have dinner with you tonight doesn't mean I can't have dinner with you 2 nights from now.
Right.
What I've done is taken, if somebody says they can't do something, I took it like, oh my God, they don't like me and they don't want to do anything with me and they don't, they just never want to be around me instead of.
It's personal. It was about you instead of it being that they couldn't do it right now.
Right. And once I learned to be able to say, to read myself and be able to say, no, I don't want to do that. Or no, I just don't feel like it tonight. Or I need some alone time. Or I need whatever I need. That's when I was able to take what other people said into consideration because I looked at it differently. I looked at it as, well, this is what I need. Maybe that's what they need.
That, and when I started thinking about myself first and giving myself what I needed first, I stopped worrying so much about what other people were thinking, right? Because other people don't think about me nearly as much as I think they're thinking about me.
True.
They really don't think about me at all, usually. But I think they're constantly thinking about me, or at least I used to. And as soon as I realized that I needed to think about me and I started putting me first, I realized that most other people are doing the same thing. Which also then helped me to realize that if they are thinking about them and they are putting them first, then they aren't thinking about how I meant something. They are thinking about how they saw something. So that made a huge difference in my relationship with other people also.
So I think, and going back to the question, how do I have a better relationship with myself, higher power, and others? I think it starts with having a better relationship with yourself and your higher power, and stop worrying about having a better relationship with others, because if you find that relationship with you and your higher power, those other relationships will do what they're going to do.
And there's an entire podcast about how to have a better relationship with myself. Go back and listen to it.
Yes. Way to plug that 3 times this time. Good job.
Heck yeah.
And it was a good podcast. So, all right,
I'm
Ashley.
so glad that we did this today.
Me too.
I missed it. I really did. I feel so much better just after talking to you and having these conversations.
Yeah, I feel more centered. It's like, okay, now I don't know. I've felt really off these last few weeks and just like not centered and not like, okay, I'm ready. And I do today. And so now I'm going to go in the kitchen and I'm going to prep my meals, and thank you for having this conversation with me, and I can't say how much I love doing this.
I really do feel exactly the same way. Like genuinely, truly, like yesterday it was like, oh, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to get up. And even when I got my computer out to do the podcast, it was kind of like, ugh, I don't know if I feel like this, but I was looking forward to it. And now, after having this conversation and doing the podcast and talking to you, I think it's I think it's about focusing on recovery and focusing on healthy growth, and it just builds positivity in my mind. I'm just ready to take it on now.
Yeah, it's a constant reminder of what I need to do in my life, and it just carries me through the week. Right, and I'm going to have sponsee calls. I'll have our meeting Thursday night. It's just, I don't know, this is just kind of that jump start to the week that I really need to start it on a positive note, and I just appreciate it.
Me too. So thank you, listeners, and thank you, Dawn, and I hope you guys all have an amazing week.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Bye.
We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workityouareworthit.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.